Hey, hey,
Hey,
welcome back. Welcome back. How you doing, Nicole?
doing okay? Doing all right on this Labor Day.
Yes, Labor Day weekend, Labor Day weekend. And so today we are discussing Respect, Aretha Franklin's visual memoirs. We shall say. We shall say. But before we get into that, we have to acknowledge our sponsors.
Yes,
You want to shout them out? Shall we begin with?
Color You Cosmetics.
Yes.
And this is the brainchild of Karen Stallings. She has two locations, one in Norfolk, Virginia, the other one in Lithonia, Georgia, in the mall there. And if you like the way my face looks, I am her brand ambassador. And right now I'm wearing her entire look right now. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely find Color You Cosmetics on social media. And you can also inbox me to get more information about it.
All right. And our other sponsor.
Sheer Dazzle Salon in Chesapeake. Right now, I am rocking my own natural puff because I'm getting my hair done on tomorrow. But needless to say, I credit, Kiki Johnson as well as the other stylists there for allowing my hair to grow and to flourish. So definitely Sheer Dazzle Salon for natural hair and other hair care.
And finally,
Irby Entertainment, your international DJ company and apparel company. And that's the brainchild of Raymond Bailey. And I'm part owner of that company as well. So we have Irby that sponsors us as well. So definitely check us out on social media on all the different platforms.
okay, and we're going to give a special shout out to Robert Rice Jr. of smoothology.net. That's the music
Yes,
you heard at the open. So let's dig into it, shall we?
we shall.
Respect, Aretha Franklin's memoirs, which there was a lot of buzz prior to her passing that she handpicked the star for this movie, Jennifer Hudson, to play her. And there's always talk when there's a celebrity of note. The question during interviews is, who do you want to play you when you in your movie? Who do you want to have play you? And she was absolute on it. She was like, oh, Jennifer Hudson. And Jennifer Hudson definitely has the voice to play her. And I think on that end, she knocked it out of the park. And honestly, I have no complaints even about how she played the role.
Well,
She
she's an Oscar award winning actress.
mm-hmm,
But, they say that lightning doesn't strike twice
mm-hmm,
in the same place, and that's not necessarily true either. But that's an old saying.
right.
Scientifically, it can't happen. But
Yeah.
that's an old saying. But at the same token, I think that people were kind of waiting to see if she could bring the same energy that she did at Dreamgirls,
Mm-hmm.
which was fictional. We've seen Aretha, so there's certain things that you kind of anticipate or you're looking to see if they can be emulated through Jennifer Hudson, but she was able to pull it off.
I think she delivered. I think people want to love this because it's Aretha Franklin's story, and Aretha said, "This is how I want it to be told." Um, you and I have discussed before how people are choosing to die on the hill of, "This is the only story that should be told. That's it." The other one with Cynthia Erivo, I will never see it, never ever, and that's it. The other one is bad just because, and people are choosing to die on that hill. However, I did start watching the other one, and there's something to be said about how the story is laid out.
And we spoke about that as well. I haven't begun to watch the other one, but we were comparing this biopic to other biopics and where it would rank. But getting back to what you're saying about Aretha choosing the person,
Right.
because she has such a strong personality, she was a very private individual. So what information we do know about her kind of got leaked or told in a variety of other ways, that type of thing. Some things she did share, but overall, she was intensely private. She gave
Right.
very few interviews. And even when she gave interviews, she could be very stoic and very curt and very short with her responses. So it was kind of hard to read in between the lines and put your own spin on what she was saying, because she gave you just enough,
Right.
straight chaser, boom. So kind of getting back to what you said about her choosing her person, I think that in so doing, people feel like, who better to say what it should be than the person themselves to say what it should be, and let the chips fall where they may when it comes to the other stuff.
Right. I
About
still,
my life that comes out.
as I was watching Respect, I get that, but I also don't feel like this was all of who she was.
Oh
Because
no.
I was watching this and I'm like, I know she wasn't this meek and mild.
Oh no.
I know she flipped the table, cussed somebody out. I know that she was not this calm and measured, especially about her craft. I know she had to lay somebody out in the studio if something wasn't right. And this entire thing, the whole like in the last half hour, she got a little energy about her, but even then, it was still so played so measured. I was like, I'm not believing it.
Well, I think what it is that it kind of plays into what she presented when she interviewed. So if you kind of think about how she interviewed, that's how she interviewed. Now, who she was once the interview was over, what she was like in the green room, what she was like in a dressing room, in a limousine or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part she didn't allow to be portrayed. And the one thing about death is that death to a certain extent is an equalizer. What it does is that there's a story or a narrative of a person that we know. If you knew that person well, you can say, this about that person, whatever. Death also allows, whether it be fortunate or unfortunate, some things about yourself to be told, and you're not there to correct it.
Right.
You're not there to set the record straight, and that type of thing. So I think when you're a celebrity, you fall in a really unique place, because there are going to be some people that want to hear the juicy details and want to hear the salacious stuff and see you be more human and see you be more real or regular. But I have a hard time buying that she was that measured, because of how much of a perfectionist she was, and because of the level of control and abuse she suffered at the hands of the men in her life.
Right.
That stuff comes out somewhere else. Now, there's some people that can, pack it all in and, put on a preface and just, be a stepper wife with it. But you can't tell me the way she went about her music and the way she wanted to be this person and seen a certain way, she had to go off, because you're not feeling me when I say I need this to be in C minor. I'm not playing. I need
right.
I hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. I need that to happen, because but
and that's not to say that she couldn't collaborate with people. Not saying that at all. But like you said, for all the pressure that she was under from her dad, from her husband, and I'm talking about Ted, during that time period, I can't see her not snapping. I
Yeah,
can't
something
see
about
her
it.
not
Well,
fighting back and saying, I'm taking my power back. Because by the time she oh gosh, what am I thinking of? Like by the time Pink Cadillac and songs like that
mhm.
came around, that was a different Aretha from Respect years.
Oh, you mean was it Amazing Grace? And
Mm-hmm.
that because when she did the
Well,
gospel album, yeah.
well, even between the gospel, between that, between Respect, between Pink Cadillac, between those time periods, there was a different level of Aretha. You follow what
So
I'm
what?
saying? You saw a
Yeah.
transition and a growth.
So were you looking for more in a movie there to be more character development when it came to how she evolved? Well, that goes into
What she wanted people to see.
what you want people to see. And see that's the whole thing about your story. When you think
Yeah.
about, when you think about your whole life, if you did to be as old as she did, you know, how much can you really tie us up in a neat bow between the age of 5 when she really hit the scene, as a young girl, to when
Mhm.
she died, and she
Right.
never stopped being relevant. How can you put that all in? And the movie was rather long, 2 hours and 25 minutes. I mean,
Right.
that's pretty lengthy. And I think that with that being said, they tried to put in as much as they could, but they still missed some other elements as well.
Hmm.
The story to me tended to feel rushed in the beginning, slow
Yeah.
down and get more detailed in the middle, and then towards the end, it was a mad dash to, you
It was
know,
cool.
yeah. So you didn't feel that there were certain parts where you kind of weren't sure if they had edited some things out,
Yeah.
which made it choppy, or was it just wasn't covered, which made it
Hmm.
choppy, or a combination of the two. That
Right.
once they watched it, they were like, this doesn't quite fit with the direction we want to go in.
Well, and not only that, the other piece of it was, as I was watching it, I was like, would I want this part of my, if I were in her shoes, how much would I want to tell? Would I want to be this vulnerable in telling my life story?
And can I just say that one thing about being a person, and I think we put celebrities, um, popular figures, whether they be politicians or religious, individuals that are kind of known and seen, we put them on this pedestal.
Hmm.
And you have to ask yourself, if you take off all those trappings, they're people.
Hmm. Right.
And you normalize it to yourself, you have to ask yourself, well, how much about me do I really want people to know?
Right.
So you have to give grace to that. Do you
Yeah.
do you really want people to know someone, and to what end am I willing to share that thing with you? Because one thing about people, groups of people, is that they are judgmental,
Uh-huh.
minded, and lack grace. So when
Hmm.
they hear certain things about you, they don't look at it the same way as that they lack the empathy or the sympathy at times to say, but for the grace of God goes out, or I went through that, so I know. So you play that role as to what end and who does it really benefit if you know where all my skeletons are buried, if you
Right.
know all my dark secrets, who benefits from knowing all of that. So I
Right.
guess, for those of us that felt like the story was choppy, we have to kind of look at it that way. But then on a cinematic point of view, could have had it been produced better, or the screenplay written better, where it had a little better, more, it had a different level of continuity, in the storytelling.
Yeah. And again, comparing it to what I've seen so far of Genius, Aretha, because I'm only like 2 episodes in. They told so much more of the story in 2 episodes than they did in the whole movie. Respect. They've gotten into just the childhood dynamic. Like the interesting thing, the first thing that I've noticed is talking about in her childhood, who was it that played her mother? Her mother, Barbara. I guess in reality, she didn't know much about her mother because she was so young when her mother died.
And even previous to that, she was taken away from her mother. So you have to remember that part. The father took them and moved away, and there was a big disconnect where they didn't see her. They didn't have any real interactions with her, and then subsequently she passed. She had her own challenges. Yeah.
But in the movie, it showed like they had visitation where she was seeing them every 2 weeks up until she was about maybe 5 or 6 or whatever. She was singing in the church. She was singing in the church while she was still seeing her mother.
Yeah.
In Genius, Aretha, she wasn't seeing her mother. And that scene in Respect, she's chasing behind her mother when her mom says, "All right, I have to go. I'll see you in 2 weeks." She chases behind the car when her mother's leaving. In Genius, the person that she's chasing behind is it Miss Clara? Was her father's long-term girlfriend?
I haven't watched
I'm talking about in Genius. I think it was Miss Clara was the girlfriend. Okay, that everyone kept saying, "Is he going to marry her? Is he going to marry her?" So that was the woman that was portrayed to have raised her, and what was her father's long-term girlfriend. Well, in Genius, that was not the long-term girlfriend. She was the one who left, and that's whose car she was chasing behind. And it was a whole nother girlfriend.
And I guess you can parse it all out to say, they all. Well, when it comes to all this stuff, even let's compare her to Princess Di, in that respect. Every different biopic about Princess Di, miniseries or whatever, covers something different.
Yeah.
And some of the names, some of the actors, some of the people, they all kind of like blend and intermesh, which goes back to ultimately, this is why you have 2 camps when it comes to this movie. Ultimately, people are going to be more on the Jennifer Hudson end of it because this is what Aretha wanted told.
to
That's it. Now, when it comes to the other end of it, it's for you to kind of parse out how much of this mirrors what you saw in the movie and what else you knew about Aretha prior to it. But what I would say about any of these people, if you're interested and you're not just looking at it for entertainment value, you really want to kind of know, you might want to do some research on them, period, before, without the visuals and all of that, to kind of know what may or may not be true. But then when you get into the nuts and bolts of it,
these are other people's lives.
It's other people's lives, So how best are you going to be to say whose car she was running behind when, in her mind, her
It was her
mother,
mom.
thank you. Ultimately, she wants people to understand her mother played a heavier, more influential role in her life than people may have realized. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at with that. Is that whether no matter when her mom died, how often she was able to see her mother's life, interactions with her, and her subsequent death at a young age for her made an impact to the point that it was portrayed in the movie that her mother came. This is a spoiler. Her mother came to her in a vision or a dream. And for those of you all that have ever lost a parent, that is impactful because that happened. And it tends to happen when you're going through a major crisis in your life where that person is sent that way. And that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because unfortunately I lost my mom, but I didn't lose my mom as young as Aretha did. But I can attest to what that's like to say. And think about even Ray Charles. When you think about it, Ray Charles in his movie, his mama came back for him and helped him get over his addiction. And even outside that, he was taking it, he was going cold turkey and all that type of stuff. Outside of that, his mother came back, I think, on more than one occasion, or he remembers something she said that was impactful. So,
right. Well, I'll tell you what I took away from it. What it brought to mind was who was influential to her. Not just the fact that she envisioned her mom being in her life longer than she may have actually been, but how influential Miss Clara was in her life, that she wrote her in for such a long period of time.
yeah.
That she had her in there for so long, even if she may have left earlier. And she never mentioned who any of the other women in her dad's life was. Yes, there were other people. She knew her dad liked women.
Many others, but
Right. But she also held her father up in this film the way she did. In
and she
spite of,
always
yeah.
did. It was
Mhm.
never a question. Now she was estranged from him because of the level of control that he had over her, and no marriage can survive that. No
Mhm.
marriage, no career can survive your father being that intricately involved in what you're trying to do as a grown woman, as a
Right.
professional. There's just no way. So the estrangement was going to happen.
Right.
For where it is that she needed to go. I think had it not happened, we wouldn't know Aretha as a person she ultimately became because of the stranglehold he had over her.
Mhm.
And it's interesting how it took another man to take her out of it. She wasn't strong enough. I can't say it that way. Let me say it another way. She wasn't able to do it on her own. It took
Right.
actually another man to do that, to help do that for her, who was equally, if not more so, in another dynamic as controlling
Right.
and then abusive to her, that it kind of, put her in a different space.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, she went to what she knew.
Yeah,
She saw her
because
father being abusive and
girls do marry their fathers, or
right.
they marry the some of the men that they've been influenced most by.
Right. Right. So overall, on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you put this movie?
A 3, because the story seemed disjointed, not because of what Aretha wanted to have covered.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it could have been strung together better. And you and I, we spoke earlier, and I said that to me, the epitome to me of a awesome biopic on a musical artist,
Mm-hmm.
there are two, Ray and Get Up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those two, and Ray is powerful because Ray Charles was alive to kind of help with that. He put his touch on certain things when it came to Jamie Foxx. Just like Aretha in her own way, even though she wasn't there for the making of the film, probably put her touch on, you hear that I'm being selected for it, you're going to start doing some homework, which is Jennifer Hudson. Right. It wasn't like it happened when she died and she's like, I didn't realize she wanted me. No, this had already been said years prior. So, and from what I understand, they had a relationship. I'm not sure how deep it was, but they had a relationship prior to, so she got to know her on a personal level. So there we got that. And then of course we have the other one, which is Get Up. That was so well put together.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It covered, really in all actuality, to me, it left no stone unturned. You heard about, James Brown being charismatic. We knew that. We knew how talented he was. We knew that. We knew how much of a businessman he was. And if you do additional research on him, his business savvy, same thing with Ray Charles, was so impactful that, a lot of the reason why people are successful in music today is because of them. When it came to owning your masters, owning your rights, your stuff being yours, that type of thing. It was just thrown together better in those films for me, in comparison to this one. And I think the 2 hours and 25 minutes was put there to try to do that, but it's not about the time. It's about how you weave the story together. And the weaving, to me, just didn't happen to make it a 4 or 5.
I'm in full agreement. I'll give it a 3. I think it was an awesome cast. I mean, they had some great names to pull this whole thing together. Forrest Whitaker, Mary J. Blige was in there, Audra McDonald was in there, Jennifer Hudson in the lead. Awesome cast pulled together. And we forgot to mention Marlon Wayans.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he brought it. He gave his good acting on this whole thing.
You gotta appreciate that because of his start. You have to, and that's just like Jamie Foxx. When you're a comedic actor or a comedy person, period, and you're able to do
drama,
things that are more serious and come out of yourself, because a lot of times you watch these people like, he's still blah blah blah. He hasn't changed. I mean, he put on a different outfit and cut his hair, and he may have a little accent, but I still recognize him through his heart. No, he became.
He embodied this role. He completely embodied this role. I want to see more out of this. Look, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm tired of seeing him in a role where his punchline is turning around and showing us his behind. I want to see his backside no more. I want to see more of this from him. This was perfection from him. I'm going to give him his 5. He deserves his 5 for this role.
He deserves a 5, yeah.
Okay. Overall, I give it a 3, like you said, because just the story just didn't. I had a lot of questions because it just didn't flow as well for me as it could have. But everybody, I mean, this was an A1 cast, and they all delivered as best they could with what they were given to work with. So that's
it's put on the actor's lap. You can always tell when the writing is there, but it's the acting that suffers. In this case, the writing wasn't there, and the actors still shine, which is a testament to their skill as actors.
Yeah. It could have been better. It could have been better. I'm gonna go watch the other one.
Yeah, you want to see what all the hoopla is about, just because it's digging deep, it's digging deeper. But I can appreciate the fact that this is what she wanted to be told. This is where this is. I think more of it is on the lines of she wanted people to see the pivotal time of her life where things changed for her, which was when she did Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
which ended up being the highest grossing album for her to date. Which says a lot because gospel albums do not typically do that well.
Well, mainstream,
but that
right.
one for mainstream record, and considering she pretty much changed midstream career wise, it really should, in theory, it should have killed her career. It should have killed it. You know, when people make drastic moves like that, it's normally a career killer or ender, and it takes a while for people to kind of regroup. But that didn't happen for her.
Right.
And and we're blessed because it didn't. People saw for what it was, which was spiritual, and it highlighted her immense talent, and her roots. So you have to appreciate that.
Well, that's all we have for today.
And we had no snacks. I mean, all I had was chai tea, but we're gonna have a snack sponsor, so you all look forward to that.
I got Aldi's orange juice in here. That's all I got in the cup. It's good though.
I have chai tea from the international market. I don't know who they are, but thank you. Appreciate it. But we didn't have our popcorn. We're doing this in the daytime, so they kind of push it a different, mode. I haven't had lunch yet. Yeah, so
I haven't had breakfast. I haven't had lunch. Just some vitamin C.
Yeah, I had breakfast. It was a shake earlier that I put together. And it's long gone, so it's time to eat now.
We're gonna do better. We're gonna get good. I don't even have snacks in the house. I'm getting some snacks in next time.
Yeah, we're gonna do snacks. We're gonna have official, hopefully one day, but unofficial sponsors.
Aldi's got our back.
Aldi's has our back. Yeah. And you know how I feel about Costco. We're gonna just leave that right there. If it's not, if it's not Costco, you don't need it. I mean that. I mean it.
Okay.
Oh, Costco's an unofficial sponsor because I'm probably wearing something from them right now. I can promise you that. I am, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is.
Okay, there's something in this space from Costco's, I'm sure. It might be these. I don't know, but something in here is from
something
Costco.
In this space. It is because
all right, so everybody, our spiel. Follow your mods. Your mods. Okay, you can find me at nikeawrites.wordpress.com. And yes, that is the correct spelling of my name. I know how to spell it and say it. Nike. Don did not join us today, but you can find him at donmiskel.com, MISKEL.com. He's the mastermind of this madness. So make sure you follow him. And that's Nicole DeCandice.
And Nicole DeCandice. And that's spelled correctly too.
Yeah, I spelled it right when I typed it. So yes, NicoleDeCandice.com. Make sure you spell that right. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you like, that pushes us up in the algorithm. Share this with a friend. Discuss it. Comment. Subscribe. And you can find us where, Nicole?
On Facebook. We have a private page. It's public private. What that means is it's searchable, so you can find us. But once you find us, you have to answer some questions in order to be admitted in the group. You don't have to give your grandmother's maiden name. You don't have to give the firstborn child's name, give a blood sample, anything crazy like that. I knew you don't have to do anything. It's not witchcraft. The thing is that we're just trying to keep, we just have 3 simple, because we want to make sure that you're serious about being a part of what we do, where we share information about movies and movie, television shows, soundtracks, and we just kind of go back and forth in that space. And it's a real chill atmosphere. So answer those questions and you can be a part of our public yet private group.
Right. It's just 3 little questions. That's it.
3 questions. And to highlight again our sponsors, Sheer Desert Salon in Chesapeake, Color You Cosmetics, which is in Norfolk, Virginia, as well as in Lithonia, Georgia. And of course, Urban Entertainment, which is international because of the international DJing company and apparel company.
All right. And so until next time, folks, we'll see you later.
Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
Bye.